Hey there, I'm Katie Jones. I am a certified Christian financial counselor, and I help followers of Jesus Christ learn excellent money management skills that are rooted in the gospel. If that sounds really fascinating to you or something that you want to learn more about, I would encourage you to subscribe to my channel and go check out any of the other faith and finance videos that I have over there to help equip you with those skills in order to free your money up to pursue your unique calling that God has placed on your life. In this video, I'm doing something a little bit different. My husband and I are pregnant with our first child, our first biological child. We are actually foster parents and have been foster parents now for over a year. And I've created a few videos on foster parenting and how to save money as a foster parent and just all things finances when it comes to welcoming in children into your home through foster care. But in this video, I want to talk about kind of the unique way that we ended up doing our baby registry, mostly because it is very different than the way that people typically create and put together a baby registry and fulfill all of the needs that they have for bringing in a newborn into their life. In this video, I am talking all about creating a secondhand baby registry. So a secondhand baby registry is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's your traditional, typical baby registry, but instead of asking for everything brand new, we are asking for things to come in from secondhand sources. So there are a handful of reasons why we have chosen to create a secondhand baby registry versus doing the kind of more traditional route of creating like an Amazon registry or something on Babylist where we just dump all of the items there brand new. Honestly, one of the primary reasons is just because baby stuff is super expensive, and if I don't want to pay full price for a lot of these items, I don't necessarily want to have like all of my friends and family members need to pay full price for these items. That was one of the first things, was just baby stuff can be really expensive because there's just so many specific things that only babies use. And that was the kind of the second, that leads into the second reason, is that so many of the items that babies use are only for a handful of months of their lives / maybe a year or two of their entire lives. Baby baths are one of the items that I was like, is this really necessary to buy a bath that they are going to use for maybe a handful of months of their entire life and then, pass it on? And so even if we wanted to get a baby bath, I would have wanted to receive that secondhand as well. But that was one of the things that we were like, nah, that doesn't seem very essential. There's other ways to washing babies than needing a specific bathtub for them. My point is here that there's so many things that babies really just need for a few months. And so instead of buying them brand new, when so many people trying to get rid of these things for free or for really reduced costs because they're like, well, my baby used this for like 3 months of their life and now it's just taking up space. And this brings me to another point of why we decided to create a baby registry that was all made of used things, is because either people are getting rid of these items for very cheap on like Facebook Marketplace, or you can go find them at thrift stores or used kids shops, things like that, or you can call your friend up who just had, their kiddo just turned 1 or 2, and they're like, yes, please take these things. So either they're super cheap or they end up in landfills. So if you think about all baby baths, we can go back to that example. If you think about all of the little baby bathtub things that you get, and if every single person eventually went and threw those tubs away, the landfills would be full of these plastic tubs. A way to help reduce the amount of stuff that goes into landfills is to reuse things instead of buying something brand new. So that was another main reason that we wanted to do a secondhand baby registry. Like I said, there's so many things available online. And not only that, but my husband and I already purchase so much of our daily needs and things like that on Facebook Marketplace. Whenever we're looking for a new piece of furniture or just something in general, we usually start with Facebook. My thought process also there was, well, if we get lots of things for ourselves and for our foster daughters that are from Facebook Marketplace or the thrift store, or they're used in general, why wouldn't we do that for our own baby? So we ended up creating this wonderful secondhand registry. My last reason is kind of a reason that honestly won't really come to pass until like many years down the road, because the last reason is really to teach our children, so the baby that I am now carrying, to teach him later down the road that, you know, we don't need lots of fancy brand new things in order to be happy or feel a certain way or anything like that. We can be just as content and satisfied with something that came to us used. And obviously, like, an infant isn't going to like learn that lesson, and a toddler's probably not going to learn that lesson, but it's something that we can start paving that path now, so that way when our children are older and understand that a little bit more, we can let them know, like, hey, this is how we started your life out. We got everything that we could used. Those are the main reasons why we ended up creating a registry like this. The next thing I want to talk about is really like, what did other people have to say about this? So I was a little nervous, like, to create the registry like this, and I was like, what are people going to think about it? But I was actually very pleasantly surprised about how much people were on board with this and celebrated it and were excited about this, because then I started learning about tons of my other friends and family members who actually shop this way for themselves too. And so they're like, this is such an amazing idea. I never even thought of this. And it totally blew all of my fears out of the water, because originally I was like, oh my gosh, people are going to think I'm so weird for doing this. But I got calls from, aunts of mine and friends of mine were texting me, and people were like, I can't believe I never thought of doing something like this. And people were just really excited to kind of jump in and join the hunt to help find certain things from places like Facebook Marketplace or the thrift store and everything. I'm really glad that I did it. And even if people had been, oh, this is weird, I will say there were probably still people that showed up to like our baby shower and things like that who weren't super into it, and you could tell because they still, just bought things brand new, which was totally fine and we're very thankful for. Like, I'm just glad that we went with it because it's what we valued, and it just kind of spoke that to other people. Honestly, if people are going to, if you're considering creating a secondhand registry yourself and you're worried that your friends and family members might think it's just too weird, just ask them to give you a bunch of cash anyway. So that kind of leads me into the next question of like, well, what if people don't really want to participate in doing this kind of registry? Obviously it is a lot more work for people than simply going on to like your Amazon registry or Baby List or Target or wherever else you might create a registry. It's super easy for people to go on there and just click an item in their price range, hit purchase, and it gets delivered to you. That's super easy and it's convenient, and I enjoy that too. The question is, what if people don't want to participate in that and they're kind of frustrated with the like inconvenience of it? So what we actually did was we did have a very small registry that had brand new items in it. So we actually went through Baby List for this, and we added a few items on there that were brand new so that people who, one, maybe were out of state and couldn't really easily do the whole secondhand registry stuff, they could easily purchase something online and have it sent to us. And so we did have a small registry that way. But then the other thing was I basically just put a note on our registry saying like, hey, if you don't want to participate this way, totally fine. We'd love for you to participate through sending cash or just providing cash for us. And then we can go and do the Facebook Marketplace hunting and things like that. So I was super happy to accommodate people that way. And honestly, at the end of the day, people will simply just get you what they want to get you. And that is one thing that we learned from having a baby shower, is that even though we asked for very few clothes, we got so much clothes, which it's such a blessing and just kind of a laughable problem to have. But really, at the end of the day, you will ask for a used stroller and 3 people will show up with a brand new stroller. True story. So don't worry about what other people are going to think, or if they don't want to participate in doing a secondhand registry like you would prefer. If you're curious about the items that we did ask for brand new, some of the things that we asked for were more disposable. For example, on baby list, where we did have our registry, you can actually literally put anything on there. I was even asking for like laundry detergent because we're doing reusable diapers. We asked for like bottle brushes. I did ask for a toilet sprayer for our reusable diaper kind of system because we didn't have one before, and now we have one that we're using with our foster daughter and her diapers, and it is so wonderful to have that. If you're doing reusable diapers, I highly recommend getting like a sprayer to attach to your toilet. Makes it so much easier. We asked for a digital picture frame. That was not something that we had, and I was like, that would be a really fun, nice item to get, just to display photos really easily. We don't have to go and print a bunch of things. There were a few more items too, but again, it was very minimal. And then on top of that, on baby list, you can actually put like cash registries on there, like a cash fund. And so people could just send money through there, and on baby list, they actually send you the money through PayPal. So that was super convenient, really easy, and a lot of people participated that way. Now, if you are wanting to actually create your own secondhand baby registry, I will show you really quickly kind of how we ended up doing this. I will mention though, as I am going through the process that we actually went through to create our registry, I will tell you that there are a few extra resources out there that I did not know of until creating this video actually, that can make this process a lot easier. So Babylist can actually help you create a secondhand registry. I will link to a blog post that I found of another woman who did this with her registry and using Babylist. There are ways to do it that way. The other way is actually through a website called Encore Baby Registry, and it is literally a place where you can create your own baby registry for, you can register for like hand-me-down items and used items instead of doing brand new. I did not do it this way. I don't really know what the process is like using this specific baby registry website, but if you're looking for a tool or resource to do a secondhand baby registry, this could be a great way to do it. Otherwise, checking out that other blog article that someone else wrote on how to use Babylist. But with that, I will show you how we created ours. So we really simply use just Google Docs. I use pretty much everything Google all the time. Our registry actually started because I was simply just creating a list of all the things that I was thinking of in general, that I was like, we need this for our baby and this. And so I just started making a list, and then I actually turned it into our baby registry that I ended up sending out to everybody else. So I sent out just a traditional Google Doc, and I started out by adding in like a simple explanation of what we were doing, why we were doing it, like why we're not super crazy, here's why. And so I put in a little explanation, what I mean by secondhand items, things that they might have that come from the thrift store, blah, blah, blah. So I just wanted to give as much description as possible so people weren't very confused by it. Again, very countercultural, very different from what other people are doing for their baby registries. So I just wanted to give more explanation for everybody. After that, I went through and kind of listed some of the requirements. I wanted to make sure, primarily, like one of the biggest things for me was making sure that the items did not come from a home where there were smokers. that for me was like a number one deal breaker. Like, if it comes from a smoking home, I didn't want it in our own home. So that was a big thing, as well as just like things that were up to safety standards. I didn't want like an 80s style crib and stuff like that. So just making sure that things were still like safety wise up to date. The next thing I did was list out a few local thrift stores, specifically like kids secondhand stores. So we actually here in the Denver metro area have a decent amount of secondhand stores dedicated specifically to children's items. And one of them happens to be like right down the road from us. For those people who lived local here to us in our community, I wanted to just give them a list of all the places that I knew of. So that way, if they wanted to, they could go directly to those stores instead of doing the Facebook Marketplace route. And then again, I did have like a little blurb on some ideas for people who were out of town, family members who don't live here. We have friends who don't live here that wanted to participate and get us gifts and things like that. And so I wanted to give them a few ideas on how they could participate. So obviously things like you could send us something, some of the stuff that you have if you want to get rid of baby stuff, or you can participate using the baby list stuff, baby list registry, or sending us cash or something like that. So I gave them a few examples on how they could participate from afar. That way they didn't feel super left out. And then right before I created the actual list, like the list of all the items, I had sort of like a how to participate in this secondhand registry. Because again, if I had done a little bit more research and figured out how to create a real not like a real registry, but like a registry using some of these other online tools, that probably would have been a little bit easier for people to like mark off like, hey, I bought a stroller or I bought a crib or something like that. People would have been able to easily like mark them off using these other tools. But since I was just doing it through Google Docs, I kind of had like here's how to participate if you do find an item, if you do have something that you're wanting to get rid of and you're not sure if it fits what we are looking for, send me a text message with a picture and a description, things like that. And then if you do have something or find something that matches what we're looking for, let me know so then I can go ahead and cross it off. Or people could make comments on the Google Doc themselves and say like, I purchased this, things like that. It did make the process a little bit more difficult. Again, it wasn't as easy as someone just going and clicking on Amazon and then it just marks it off for you. So after I wrote out kind of how to participate within the registry, I actually went and created the registry. So in order to do this, I really just had originally just a list of all of the items that I needed, and it looked really clunky. Instead of just like sending just a huge checklist kind of thing, I ended up categorizing everything by like things like feeding and sleeping and playing, that kind of stuff. That way it just kind of broke things down into the different areas. And then with each of the items, I wrote out a description of kind of the specific item that we wanted, if there was a color or a brand or a style or something that we were looking for specifically. I would put that right after the item name. So a really good example was the Duna car seat stroller kind of travel system. And so I actually put an example link to the original, like to the actual item if you were to go and buy it brand new, so that people could go and then, look on Facebook Marketplace or go to a thrift store and look for that item. And so I did that with everything. Another good example is like for a high chair or even the crib, we really wanted like a convertible system. So like, for example, the crib that can kind of turn into one for a baby and then it can convert into a toddler bed and things like that. Same thing with a high chair, something that like a littler baby can use and then eventually a toddler can use. That way it grows with us instead of like needing new items later down the road. I put examples of certain brands that did this, or even things like, for the crib sheets and stuff like that, I wanted something like a neutral color. I didn't want something specific to a boy, because then we could really reuse them in the future if we have a little girl, or, if we have like a foster kiddo who joins our home that is a girl as well. Anyway, that's kind of what we did and what I would recommend for at least using Google Docs for the registry. But if you end up doing a secondhand registry and choosing to use one of these other options, I'd be curious to know how it works out for you, or if you are going to do something totally different. The last thing that I want to mention, now that we have already had our baby shower and everything like that, is what we are doing about the fact that there are certain things that we have received multiple of, which is kind of bound to happen, because again, this is not like a perfect system that we had going for our registry. This is just kind of what we're doing right now. We do have a foster daughter, and so we're trying to figure out if, certain things she has a lot of developmental delays, and so if she reunifies with her family, we want to be able to pass a lot of stuff along to them just to help them and support them as best as we can. So we're kind of thinking about, like, are there duplicates of certain things? Like, for example, baby books. We have tons of baby books, and there's some of them that she really loves that I'm like, wow, we got multiples of these, so we can easily keep some set aside for her to be able to take with her if she leaves. Thinking about it creatively like that. Obviously, if there are gift receipts for certain things that we can return and get store credit for, or cash back or whatever, so we've made like piles of stuff that we need to try to return them. The other option is to sell certain things on Facebook Marketplace. So I have listed a handful of items on Facebook Marketplace to maybe potentially get some cash for those things, especially if they are really nice, brand new items that we're just not going to use some of this stuff. So, or if we have multiples and things like that. Or there are certain things that I'm just going to keep this set aside, so that way when, my friends or family members have baby showers, I already have gifts. So especially the things that are slightly more gender neutral, because then that way I'm it doesn't matter if it's a boy or a girl, I can just give them this little onesie set or something. Those are some of the things that we are considering doing, or that I have been doing with certain items that we've gotten multiple of. And then the last few things are just in general. Again, we are a part of the foster care community, and there's lots of needs out there for baby items, and so donating it to either our foster agency specifically, or somebody that I know who needs items for their foster kiddos. And then the last thing would be any of the stuff that we go down that list and it just doesn't work out, we'll probably just donate to a thrift store or something like that. That is it for the secondhand registry, but I'm just really curious to know what your thoughts are and whether or not you would consider doing this for yourself and your baby. So let me know in the comments, and I will catch you in the next video. See ya!